Hey friend, Brandon here from This Is Tech Today. With the Sony BRAVIA Theater Bar 9, cinema is coming home. It's an incredible soundbar with tons of tech built into it that easily provides a theater surround sound experience in your living room. Sony reached out to me to sponsor this showcase and use my experience as an audio engineer of almost 20 years to not only share with you what the BRAVIA Theater Bar 9 can do from the perspective of an audio engineer, but also provide objective, immersive audio samples that you can listen to and get a sense of what it's like for yourself. You'll want to make sure that you wear headphones or earbuds in both ears for the sound samples because it's going to be a ton of fun. Now, let's take a closer look. I have my Theater Bar 9 set up in my living room with my BRAVIA 9 TV. What's neat about this Sony TV and other Sony TVs is that you can set up the legs so that the Theater Bar 9 fits perfectly underneath it. It's 36% smaller than the HT A7000 soundbar that came before and manages to have even more speakers, some even larger than the A7000. It looks clean and doesn't draw much attention. Instead, it blends into my room. Now, along the back, you'll see that it has an HDMI port and an HDMI eARC port. That means that you won't lose an input on your TV. HDMI 2.1 ports support 4K 120, variable refresh rate, auto low latency mode, and source-based tone mapping. And of course, you can connect to it in other ways using Bluetooth, Spotify Connect, and Apple AirPlay. Now, about this room, it's your typical average open concept room that is honestly a bit awkward and complex to work with if I wanted to put speakers all over the room. There's not an ounce of sound treatment in this room, so it's exceptionally reverby. That's why I have the microphone as close to me as possible. I processed my voice in this video to make it sound better, but here's what it would sound like without that processing. It doesn't sound great in here, which makes it a challenge to calibrate something to sound good in this space. Because of that, I can't wait to show you the objective immersive samples to see how well it performs in this room. Within the Theater Bar 9 are 13 speaker units that shoot off to the side, up at the ceiling, and directly at you. These range from passive radiators that produce bass frequencies, woofers for the low and mid frequencies like the chest resonance or the body of your voice, and tweeters that deliver the high end to give you that clarity, air, and space to the sound. And here's a fun fact, some of the tweeters in the Theater Bar 9 are the same ones used in the Sony SA-Z1 bookshelf speakers, which cost $8,000. Insane. These speakers help create an immersive sound that engulfs you in a virtual bubble of sound. This includes speakers in front of you, to your left, right, behind you, and along the ceiling without the cost, hassle, or look of having 13 speakers installed all over your ceiling and walls. I mean, it's pretty incredible that we have technology that can do this. This happens because of Sony's 360 Spatial Sound Mapping, which has auto calibration technology and sound field optimization built into it. Essentially, it's like having an audio engineer built into the soundbar to place all those virtual speakers around you and tune and calibrate them specifically to your unique space to give a cinema-style surround sound. Now, usually, you'd have to measure the distance for every speaker and other stuff to calibrate properly. Instead, you can use the new BRAVIA Connect app to start the calibration process. You'll hear these neat noises that help measure the distance between the soundbar and various surfaces to determine how your room sounds, including reverb, and that helps you get that great immersive sound. Okay, so enough talking about what it can do, let's hear how it sounds. Here's the first audio sample with only the Theater Bar 9. Don't forget to wear your headphones or earbuds. So how do you think it sounds? There are more audio samples to come and they get even more interesting, but there are some really neat things going on even with just a soundbar that I want to point out. One of my favorites is Acoustic Center Sync. Have you ever noticed where the center channel speaker is often located for a theater system? It's below the TV. I have an older 5.1 theater system with physical speakers all around the room and the center channel is below the TV. Even the Theater Bar 9 is placed below the TV. When the speaker is below the TV, you perceive the dialogue and most center center channel sound below the TV rather than from it. It's like hearing my voice from my stomach instead of my head, which is just unnatural sounding. With Acoustic Center Sync on compatible Sony TVs like my BRAVIA 9, the TV provides an additional output of sound a few imperceptible milliseconds before as a supplement alongside the Theater Bar 9. The audio from the TV arriving slightly before the soundbar creates a neat acoustical trick that makes you perceive the sound as coming from the TV rather than below it. Now that you're aware of this, you'll probably notice every single time the sound doesn't sound like it's coming from the TV. I know I can't. Now, while the Theater Bar 9 alone sounds amazing and immersive, you can also expand it to be even more full and immersive by adding a subwoofer and rear surrounds. There are a few options available, but I have the SW5 sub to add 300 watts of low-end rumble that's epic for movies. And then the two RS5 rear surrounds that are excellent and provide 90 watts of output each. They have a quick charge battery built into it with 10 hours of total battery life, so you have flexibility and placement all around your room, but you can still mount it to your wall if you want to. And if you don't have a convenient way to have power hooked up to it all the time like me, this design gives me an option that I wouldn't otherwise have. And the coolest part is it has a tweeter, a woofer, dual passive radiators, and most importantly, an upfiring speaker which adds even more height and immersion. When combined with support for premium formats like high-res audio, DTS:X, IMAX DTS, 360 reality audio, and Dolby Atmos, this whole system really shines. There's also increased wireless performance, so everything stays connected and solid. Remember that calibration process from before? Well, the RS5 has a button that you can press to start the sound field optimization process, again to match the placement of the speakers. This is great if you happen to put them away or move them around a lot, or if you have others in your home who just don't know how to do the whole calibration process through the app. All you have to do is press a button and it works. Easy. Now let's listen to what it sounds like with the sub and rear surrounds added. What do you think? I think it's pretty epic. Now, one thing that is neat about how Sony designed this whole system to work together is how they adjust the low end based upon your chosen volume level. Our ears perceive the low end frequencies differently at lower and higher volume levels. This phenomenon has been studied and described as a Fletcher-Munson or equal loudness curve. Accounting for this prevents the issue of having your system turned up loud and the low end sounding really weak compared to everything else. Let's listen to another sound sample. This one shows a neat feature called Voice Zoom 3 on the latest BRAVIA TVs that allows you to control the vocal track of whatever you're listening to live. This could be a movie where the dialogue sounds too low in the mix, or you're watching a sports game and you want to remove the commentary.
Jack, do you remember where this whole GT Academy idea thing comes from?
Yeah, I'm listening.
The whole point of this thing was to show the GT drivers drive. I know this track.
You can control it with the quick settings menu on the TV with a remote, which has this fun speckled look because it's made out of recycled material, or the BRAVIA Connect app, which allows you to control just about anything from your phone. What's neat is how this is a Sony technology used to remaster movies like The Lawrence of Arabia. It uses AI to separate audio. Typically, most methods for adjusting dialogue have a lot of artifacts because it uses a broad brush rather than one with precision, and that changes everything in the center channel or specific frequencies, and that means more than the voice is adjusted. So it's actually really crazy how Voice Zoom 3 truly only adjusts the vocals. Isn't that cool? Voice Zoom 3 and so many other things that we could experience together in this video are made possible because of Sony's involvement in the entire movie process. It starts with the cameras used to film movies, the virtual stages to create new environments, their animation studio, the studio lots where musical soundtracks, Foley, and sound effects are recorded and mixed, and then it goes out to theaters like the Alamo Drafthouse, and finally our homes. I'm even filming this video on a Sony camera. Sony's experience, role, and technology from beginning to end are seen in the BRAVIA lineup of TVs, soundbars, and more, but not in that marketing buzzwordy way. If you'd like to add Sony's unique immersive theater experience to your home, or want to find out more about the Theater Bar 9, RS5, SW5 sub, BRAVIA TVs, and their other options in the BRAVIA lineup, check out the links in the description or in the pinned comment. Thanks so much to Sony for sponsoring this showcase, and thank you for watching This Is Tech Today. Until next time.